The California primary is now 18 days away, and Pete Buttigieg is campaigning there, fresh off a win in the New Hampshire primary. Here's what he said about how success in Iowa and New Hampshire could help him in more diverse states like California and Nevada.
Well, that's not up to me. That's up to the voters in the upcoming primaries. And while I'm very proud of what we were able to do to succeed in rural and urban and suburban communities in states like Iowa and New Hampshire, those states do not reflect the totality of this country. And that is why what happens in Nevada and in the other states to come will be so important. I respect and welcome the opportunity to now reach out to voters who reflect in different ways the racial diversity that makes our country what it is, and I will take no vote for granted. We are going to be working hard to earn that support, just as we have throughout the last year, and I'm looking forward to earning it every day.
Vaugh Hillyard is with me from Sacramento. Vaugh, how is the Buttigieg campaign using momentum from the first two primary states to win over voters in California?
Hello, my friend. Iowa, New Hampshire, those were two states that were pivotal to Pete Buttigieg's candidacy, and he essentially pulled them off, coming in a tie in Iowa, but then also leaving New Hampshire in the delegate lead when you look compare him to the rest of the candidates. But this is where it gets hard. You have 18 days here until the March 3rd Super Tuesday primary here in California. On March 3rd, other states outside of California will be voting, including Texas, Virginia, Alabama, Colorado. But it is California that will assign the largest allotment of delegates. But what happens before California is also important. A week from Saturday, you have the Nevada caucus, and then several days after that, you have the South Carolina primary. This is the truth test, Lindsay, for the Buttigieg campaign. You know, you were dealing with mostly white states in Iowa and New Hampshire, but now, if you look at the demographics of the Democratic electorate in both Nevada and California, you have about 50% white electorate, but then you've also got about a quarter Latino, about 10% Asian American and African American. And this is where Pete Buttigieg, at least according to polling, has struggled to expand his reach. And that is why Nevada this upcoming Saturday is going to be such a test for him, because he needs it as a launch pad to make the case to folks here in California that he is a legitimate candidate who could beat Donald Trump, not only in places like Iowa and New Hampshire, but also in more diverse states, Lindsay.
Well, California has 45 Democratic members of Congress. Have any of them endorsed Buttigieg yet?
None of them have. None of those 45 Democratic members of Congress have backed Buttigieg's campaign. And when you look at the stakes, frankly, he just does not have the same sum of money to play with as the likes of, let's compare him to Michael Bloomberg or even Bernie Sanders. Both Bernie Sanders and Bloomberg, they're up on the television airwaves here in the state. The Pete Buttigieg campaign has yet to run a single TV ad here in the state. And it's hard. You're dealing with 10 different media markets that you'd have to buy into. You're dealing with 53 different congressional districts. This is the tough part. They did acquire the same state director that Hillary Clinton had 4 years ago. Of course, Hillary Clinton beat Bernie Sanders narrowly here in the state, but they were relying, their campaign tells me, on a robust volunteer network here. They have volunteers across all 53 congressional districts, and they're sending in increased number of staffers here to help coordinate and essentially make up for what they're not able, because of financial circumstances, to put up on the television airwaves to the same capacity that a Michael Bloomberg is.
So if you don't have the kind of resources that a Bloomberg campaign has, you can't maybe flood the airwaves. What does their ground game look like? You mentioned they're trying to make up for it there with more boots on the ground. Do you have any idea of how many people are there?
That's a good question. We know that there's about 16 staff at least here on the ground right now, and they suggested they're going to be putting more folks here. The hard part is on March 3rd, again, Texas, Alabama, Virginia, Colorado, you're dealing with such a number of states. You know, I was talking with one longtime political professor here, and she was telling me last night, look, this isn't Iowa, this isn't New Hampshire, where you can go drive around in your truck from county to county. It would be faster to walk. And so that is what made, you know, the former mayor of South Bend's campaign so relevant in Iowa and New Hampshire, is that he was able to introduce himself by stopping at coffee shops, by stopping at middle school gymnasiums. You know, today is a start, we should note. We are here at the Cesar Chavez Plaza in downtown Sacramento, where he'll be holding a rally here later tonight. But what did he have to do? He had to stop and do two fundraisers, first in the greater Bay Area, because this campaign needs cash. That said, today's a great day outside, and so they should be expecting a pretty good crowd and making it at least onto the Sacramento TV market here.
All right, so they need cash, and you also mentioned they need diverse support. He's also going to need support from Black and Latino voters in the South. So when is he heading back to South Carolina? What's the plan there?
Lindsay, the campaign does not intend to head back to the East Coast or South Carolina until after the Nevada caucus. They're going to spend all the time that they can out here in the West. He will be making a stop in Utah on Monday for a rally and fundraisers. Also will be stopping in Colorado, but he is not going to be leaving the West Coast until after the Nevada caucus, which again is happening a week from this Saturday. The South Carolina primary then will happen 6 days after that, the following Friday. So that's a truncated amount of time in which he'll have to make the sales pitch in South Carolina. But frankly, he's got to do it in Nevada first, and this has been the campaign's mentality for the last months. It's one state at a time. Go win Iowa. Go perform well on Tuesday in New Hampshire, and then go and make your case to New Hampshire. So before they can look too far ahead to South Carolina, they have to contend and show that they can win over Latino voters and other voters here in the state of Nevada. Lindsay?
Vaugh Hillyard reporting from Sacramento. Blue skies, not a winter coat in sight. Good to see you, Vaughn.